Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. First of all, welcome to True Crime Strategic Guys. Appreciate you guys for joining me today. Wow, so much has happened in the last few days with the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, aka the saga of D4vd. We were supposed to go live at 10 o'clock. I could not wait that long. I needed to get this off my spirit, ladies and gentlemen. I am very, very disappointed in what we see happening in this case. Now, what we do here on True Crime Strategic, we're pretty much an aggregator and a reaction show. We're looking at the news. We're seeing what's coming out. We don't break news here on True Crime Strategic. We're looking at news stories. We're interpreting it. And what's our little special niche on YouTube? Well, I'm an active duty detective. I investigate SA cases, special victims cases, actively right now. And I'm just basically reacting to the news and giving you my perspective with my almost 20 years. Like this October was 19 years, my almost 20 years of law enforcement experience and 15 years of investigative experience. I've been investigating almost my entire law enforcement career. And what I see happening within this space on this search for justice for Celeste is really depressing, because what it looks like to me is that these different entities on the internet are all vying to be the first. Who's going to be first? Who's going to be the first? Who's going to be first? Who's going to be the first? And people are getting it wrong. They're getting it real wrong. And it's turning into a circus. And so I got the tinfoil hat on, man, because I got to protect myself from all this misinformation. We're going to try our best to respectfully go through this. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're not trying to be mean, but we got to have a real talk on this case. Now, when we reported, and once again, anybody who's just joined us, this is our tinfoil hat. It was knitted, crocheted for me by one of you guys, and they used like a special kind of metallic crochet to give me my permanent tinfoil hat, because we keep having to make tinfoil hats out of tin like every single week. And my wife was like, where's my foil paper, whenever she wanted to wrap the food up. So I had to get a permanent solution, and one of you awesome people gave me the permanent solution. So big shout out to that viewer who made me this amazing tinfoil hat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we reported that TMZ and other news organizations, because TMZ allegedly broke the news, but we saw some mainstream news media sources, pretty much all of them follow suit. Fox, KTLA, CBS, all these different major news sources was reporting the same thing. Sources. Oh, hell no! Sources say that Celeste was decapitated. Her head was chopped off. Her hands were chopped off into itty-bitty pieces. And the most damning thing of them all, she was frozen.
Does that make sense?
Now, we reported that, but we also said that doesn't make any sense, because you had folks like SF Investigates, who was hired by the owner of the mansion that David rented. He has been saying for weeks, like, people have their, that's all noise for me. All I'm looking for is facts. I don't know people. I'm nobody's fan. I'm just out here looking for facts, right? And he has told us for weeks, he's been on every single major news agency. He said for weeks, I've watched hours of video and this car did not move after this date. So this guy who's on the ground, whatever you want to feel about him, that's your own personal business. We're just looking for facts here. This guy who's on the ground says the car did not move for weeks. But then TMZ is reporting that this body was frozen. And so we said in that show, when we covered the breaking news that the body was frozen, we said that doesn't make any sense. Go back and watch it. We said that's not jiving with science. How is it? We started to talk. Listen, I went so nuts. I used chicken and Celeste in the same sentence. I said, how long does it take for a chicken leg to defrost? Then in the chat, they're like, yo, it takes a couple days for turkeys to defrost. We were literally, we totally forgot about the victim, which is rare on this channel. And we were equating Celeste, this beautiful young woman who lost her life in an untimely manner, probably most likely due to foul play. We were trying to think about, like, how long does it take for turkeys and chicken legs to defrost? We're like, that doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. For her body to be sitting in the California sun, ladies and gentlemen, California sun, in a trunk where that heat that's going to be radiating inside of that car is going to get trapped in that trunk. To say that that body was still frozen when it went to medical exam, it just didn't make sense, ladies and gentlemen. So before we get into the article that kind of debunks that, and then we're going to go, we got a lot to talk about today. We got to talk about what the medical examiner says, this new interview that was done with the captain of the robbery homicide squad that basically debunks this. Then we're going to talk about if Celeste's mother lied to us. That's a big part of this show today. Did her mother lie? Before we do that, I want to go through a timeline that the research crew put together. Humongous shout out. They just put this together for me. I'm on the road driving, handling some business. I'm driving home. I'm talking to the research crew. I'm like, yo, I need a timeline, man, because I want to get a grasp. I want to get a real good grasp on when was this body in this car? Like, you know, how long was this body in this car, man? And because like, maybe I'm mistaken, you know? Maybe somebody said that the car was moved a couple days before it went to the tow yard, which to me, you know, still this body would be thawed out. And then, you know, I was also thinking of other theories to try and help organizations like TMZ and others, because when we watched this, Harvey said, I'm 100% positive that this body was frozen and decapitated. And I said, Harvey, why would you say 100%? I was like, listen, you don't ever say 100% anything. You never say 100%. Even in my day job as a detective, I don't ever say 100%. We don't use words like 100%. We use words like reasonable suspicion, probable cause, reasonable doubt, beyond reasonable doubt. None of that is 100%. Beyond reasonable doubt is not 100%. A jury does not find you guilty in a court of law because they 100% know that you did it. They just have to get close to it. They may know 99% or 98% or 97% or 90%. That's enough to get a guilty verdict in America. It's not 100%. Why would you say 100% unless you actually saw the evidence for yourself? If I watch a video, then I'd say, wow, I just watched what looked like an essay. I can't say 100% that it's the person that did it, because we've seen in the past people have twins that commit crimes. So how can you say that's 100% that person when you don't have DNA, fingerprint, blood, all that stuff that proves that 99.999% it is this person because DNA profile said so? So it was very, 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 very reckless, in my opinion, to say I'm 100% believe that she was frozen and decapitated and dismembered. But he said it. And it really conflicted us, because guess what? We're just a small YouTube channel with barely over 100,000 subscribers. We don't have $1 million budget. We got a $10 budget here. We on a shoestring budget. That's a $100 million organization, TMZ. CBS, Fox 5, those are billion-dollar organizations. So one would expect that they would double-check their sources, vet their sources, be able to say with some certainty that their sources are accurate, but it appears that that's not happening. So let's go to this timeline and see what's going on. Alleged timeline, this is made by the research crew, all 2025. Research crew is amazing because not only did they put the time and dates, but they also put the weather that was happening around that time. So in July, the average high was 69 degrees. The average low, was 69 degrees. The average high was 80 degrees. In August, the average low was 70 degrees. The average high was 88 degrees. July 29th, 11 a.m., someone parks a Tesla where it doesn't move until it's towed. It does not move until it's towed. It does not move until it was towed. August 25th, The lows were 67, the highs were 77. August 26, 2:48 p.m., someone calls and reports the Tesla as possibly abandoned. The low was 67, the high was 76. August 27, Tesla's marked by a parking guy. They give him a ticket. The low is 64, the high is 78. August 28th, the high was 82. August 29th, the high was 84. August 30th, the high was 82. August 31st, the high was 78. Let's go down to September 3rd, 2:51 p.m. Citation was written on the Tesla. August 4th, the high was 76. Let's go to August 5th, 10:20 a.m. The high was 75. The Tesla's impounded. So this Tesla was observed undisturbed from July 29th until September 5th. Now, I said in my life, either TMZ is right and SF Investigates is wrong. Because SF Investigates said that that car didn't move. If SF Investigates is correct, which it looks like he is, there's no way on this earth that that body was frozen. Now, they did not say that the Emmy looked at the body and could determine that it was frozen. Now, that's possible because when you freeze something, you get crystalline structures inside of the tissue. And you could tell by the way that the cells are aligned and the type of damage that's caused to the cell walls, etc., that they were frozen. Now, they did not say that there was evidence that the body was frozen. They said that the body was frozen when it was with the ME. And I mean, listen, if I'm on that team and somebody said, I'm working for Harvey, he's paying me $1 gajillion, I would say, something wrong here, Harvey. I don't know. Harvey, you're paying me as your law enforcement liaison. You're paying me because of all the years I did investigations. I don't know, Harvey. Maybe we shouldn't run with this story, Harvey. I don't know what's going on there with all those hipsters they got working for them. But you got to be careful, Harvey, because listen, Harvey's the boss. He's not the one running these leads. I'll give a break to Harvey. He's the boss. He's not the one chasing down these leads. It's those hipsters in the background, those people with the lattes back there that sit and they all giggle for things. Even when people get assassinated, they laughing in the background. You need to go ask those folks, say, yo, listen, you making me look crazy. Because Harvey was in his mansion. Where he at? He was in his mansion on the beach. And this is what he was saying. Not because he did the lead itself. This is what his people reported to him, and this is what they got him saying.
The Celeste Rivas death. TMZ has learned that her body had been frozen, and when it was found, it was still partially frozen in the back of David's car, and it was in such bad condition.
Let me tell you something about the police department, especially when you're on the detective level. Because detectives manage themselves. We don't have supervisors. We have supervisors. Our supervisors sign off on our time off, sign off on our overtime. As a detective, you're supposed to be a pro at your craft. You're not supposed to be having supervision. You get supervision when you ain't doing your job. If you're doing your job, your boss don't talk to you. And your boss, they'll have the conversation and say, listen, you're a detective now. You're supposed to know your craft. You're supposed to give guidance to all of us. But don't make me look bad. If you don't know what you're doing, you ask for help. Come to me. Because most of our supervisors in the detective branch of police departments, those sergeants and lieutenants, they were detectives at one point. So they know how to do investigations. They just decided to go take the promotional route, take the test, and get out of being a detective, become a boss. So they know how to do their job. So if you don't know what you're doing, you got to humble yourself and say, you know what, let me go ask a boss. But if you know what you're doing, you don't bother a boss. But you never make your boss look bad. When you got a high-profile case, when it's not high-profile, your boss not coming to you. When it's a high-profile case, your boss is going to come to you and say, what do we got? And you better know what you're talking about. And if you don't have information, you tell your boss, I don't have information on this yet. I'm working on it. I'm going to let you know soon. I have answers for you soon. You never make your boss look bad. Harvey, you need to go back to your team and you need to tell them, when I'm on the beach in my multi-million-dollar villa, don't make me look bad. It's not Harvey that made this mistake. Harvey's the boss. He's also the host. He's the boss and he's the host. It's his team that did this to him. His team has him on the beach saying this.
Had been frozen. And when it was found, it was still partially frozen in the back of David's car. And it was in such bad condition that we are told the medical examiner may never be able to establish the cause of death.
All of this is bunk. All of this is not true. It's bunk. It's not real. Now, this is my problem, guys, because we're about to go into what the LAPD says. My problem is this. First of all, big shout out to Military Ma. 7 months as a patrol member. She said, absolutely love your show, so I upgraded to patrol. Thank you so much for upgrading and supporting the channel. I appreciate you immensely. My problem that I have with this story right now, guys, is that there was a piece of information that was pivotal to this case. Pivotal to this case that also did not make sense to me. And we talked about this. We talked about this when we discussed this pivotal piece of information. I said, well, why did they go out to the desert and not dispose of the body? We had a whole conversation about why didn't he dispose of the body? We even theorized maybe he went out there, maybe he asked somebody to go out there with him, and the person's like, yo, I don't want no part of this, and he didn't have the help he thought he would need, and he came back with the body because whatever he did over there didn't work out. Remember we had that conversation? Then they said, well, maybe he chopped the body up out there. So, well, what's the evidence of that? Why would you chop a body out in outside when in America and in this world, there is no such thing as privacy? There's always going to be some knucklehead with it you don't want him to be. There's always going to be some knucklehead where you don't want him to be. You want to do something nefarious? Some knucklehead is walking by. You're like, wait, I thought we was in the middle of the desert. How the hell I'm seeing another person? I'm in the middle of Sahara Desert. Here comes this guy with an ATV and shorts on and some sunglasses like, hey, howdy. Like, there's no such thing as privacy in this world. There's always going to be somebody. Always. You go out in your backyard with your shorts on, with your boxers on. You see a neighbor out there like, hi. You can't even be in your backyard. So I was like, why would you drive all the way out to the Santa Barbara location and then come back with her body? I'm not saying they didn't make the trip. My thing is, why did they come back with the body? Well, guess what? Who reported that? TMZ reported that. It may not even be true that D4vd went to Santa Barbara. We got to call into question all of that stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We got to call into question every single piece of information we've gotten from these folks from day one. Let's go to the article, ladies and gentlemen. This is crazy, man. It's nuts. Nuts. Big shout out to Rockman91. $2 super chat says, are we surprised Harvey is full of ish? I don't know, man. You know, I don't try and do people dirty. I don't know. I don't even follow these channels like that. So I'm following TMZ because of this David situation, because regardless of the bad information we've gotten in the last few days, they are the one that broke the case. They're the one that broke it to the mother, which I said, what to me was in bad taste because the police should have broke it to her. But I'm not sure if they even knew, if the mother knew already when they spoke to her. I'm going to give them that grace. But they're the one that broke the case. So that's what drew me to TMZ. But I don't really watch TMZ like that. I don't listen to SF. I don't watch any of these people, you know? So I don't know any of this stuff. But it's like, it's crazy that you would see a news organization that has so much money and so much resources, and it's like, well, who is your source? Because your source is obviously a liar. Because those were specific details that we're going to find out from LAPD captain saying that that's just not true. It's just not true. So let's keep going. LAPD captain reveals what cops saw when Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found dead in D4vd's trunk and she wasn't frozen. Exclusive. Big shout out to Rockmail. Hold on. Sorry about that. To Art Deco with $5 super says, do you think the PD was trying to bust a leaker? Yeah, man, you know, we don't really play games like that because all of this stuff causes pain for families. Big shout out to DP. $5 super chat says, new lows for them. Really think they'd lie on a deceased child for clout. So, I mean, that's sad. But I'm going to go back to, and thank you so much, DP, for that $5 super chat. But I want to go back to Art Deco's super chat because you don't want to play those games as a department because the family is hearing all these different stories and it's causing them pain. It really is, you know? And so you're trying to do this sting operation to find out who's leaking this information to TMZ, but in the process, you have a family believing that their daughter was decapitated and frozen with her arms chopped into little bit itty bitty pieces and her head found inside of a plastic bag. That's unethical. That's diabolical if a police department is willing to do that just to find a leaker. What are they going to do? Suspend them? You can't fire them over it. You're just going to suspend them and take 2 days' pay? You know? It's unethical to do that. So I don't think so. I just think that there's somebody in that department. It could be a police officer, could be a scientist. There's a lot of weirdos that work everywhere. And they're like, yeah, I work. Or there's a lot of people who claim they work for places and they're really good talkers, but they're not. They're just pathological liars. And then you have, listen, in every job, there's a pecking order and there are people who are trying to make a career for themselves. And I can imagine somebody at TMZ, one of these low-level producers who's trying to make a name for themselves, they find somebody who's proclaiming to work for the police department or the medical examiner's office, and that person's like, yo, I work for them, I know this, that, and the third, and the person runs with the information without vetting it. And then that information goes up the chain. Now Harvey is out there giving this information up, and it's bonk. It's just totally bonk. It's ludicrous. Big shout out to Lynn's G with a $5 super says, there you are. Been waiting on hearing your official word on this since the story broke. I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who's joining us today. Please hit that like button, guys. Support the channel. Let's get these likes going so we can show this to a wider audience. Let's keep going. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was 14 when she was discovered dead inside of the trunk of a Tesla belonging to musician David in September. This is another news agency that's finally getting her age right, because usually they've been saying she's 15 and she's not 15. So big shout out to People Magazine for actually saying her correct age. Let's go. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was 14 when she was discovered dead inside of the trunk of Tesla belonging to musician David in September. And now the Los Angeles Police Department captain is debunking rumors surrounding her remains. LAPD captain and commanding officer of Robbery Homicide Division, Scott Williams, tells People exclusively that Rivas Hernandez was not frozen.
Oh my God!
And was not decapitated as previously reported by TMZ. They said local media, but I'm going to say TMZ.
Oh my God!
Because TMZ reported it first and then those other news organizations followed. Let's keep going. Celeste's body was not frozen, Williams says. She was not decapitated. The whole frozen thing doesn't make sense. Like Strategic said at the end of that show when we reported the frozen thing, I said it does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let's keep going. Her body was in the car for weeks, as the research crew has so wonderfully put together in this timeline. Not even weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Months. Almost, all right, weeks. Weeks is fine. Okay, weeks. I wanted to say almost 2 months. What is weeks? Weeks. Weeks, ladies and gentlemen, weeks. Williams continues, even if she had been frozen solid when she was put in the car, which there is no evidence to suggest she was, 5 or more weeks in the trunk of a car in sweltering heat in the middle of summer would not have resulted in a partially frozen body being discovered on September 8th, ladies and gentlemen.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. How TMZ's producers could not figure that out. I don't know. Let's keep going. I'm going to get to that super chat in a second. Give me 1 second. Rivas Hernandez was first reported missing from her Lake Eisnor, California home on April 5th, 2024. Riverside County Sheriff's Office told Los Angeles Times her body was found in an impound Tesla in Hollywood Hills on September 8th, one day after her 15th birthday, while it was one day after her would-be 15th birthday, but she was already gone, ladies and gentlemen, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, was on tour. Singer David was identified as a suspect. We don't have to read the rest of that because it's just rehashing what we already know. So, Captain said it. Captain Williams said it. Doesn't make any sense. Big shout out to the super chat from Care Bears Stare. $4.99 super chat says, do we have any proof she was actually made it to 14? Where was she all those times? We don't know. I mean, listen, I have to go back to the timeline that I saw on the Celeste Rivas Hernandez Reddit page because they kind of broke it down well. But I don't know if there's any evidence. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. It's a really good question. All right. Wow. You know, I often wear my tinfoil hat when I'm talking about these conspiracies. This is the antenna. This helps deflect misinformation. Very rarely have I had my tinfoil hat on and I felt the electrical waves flowing through this tinfoil hat and deflecting it from my brain. Today, my head has been tingling, ladies and gentlemen, because I cannot understand all the bull crap that's being thrown by us by these media organizations. It's depressing, it's distressful, and it's sad. It really is. Big shout out to everybody who's watching us. We have 441 people watching so far on this live stream. Please hit that like button, support the channel. We could do a whole lot better on the likes. We got 217 likes, and I want to see a whole lot more so we can get into that algorithm. So this is something that we were talking about behind the scenes. This is the medical examiner removing Celeste from their website. And behind the scenes, we didn't report this to you guys. Behind the scenes, my research crew was asking me, I was like, yo, why do you think that her name was removed from the website? And behind the scenes, I said, listen, the only thing I could think about is they removed it because this is a high-profile case and too many people are asking questions about it, reaching out to them, etc. They want to keep this private, basically, because the pressure's too much. I see I got a I see a highlighted message. We'll get to that in a second. I never reported this, but we spoke about this. Then the research crew did their research, and they're like, and I was like, it could also be because she's a minor, but most likely it's because of the notoriety of this case. I said that there's no law that says they have to have this specific website to update people on these cases. I said they do this as an organization because they want to just be transparent with the public, but there's no law that says it. There are FOIA request laws and disclosure laws and sunlight and sunset, whatever they call them, laws that basically says, you know, people send in requests for information, you have to give certain reports back and certain evidence back. You have to present that to the public. But there's no law that says you have to have specifically this website. We talked about this behind the scenes. Well, I was correct. And the research crew was correct as well. I was correct in that they removed her name from the website because of the public notoriety. And the research crew was correct in that a court order was received by the medical examiner's office that was taken out by the LAPD to seal these records. And the only reason why I could think that they would do that is because they probably have the results and they don't want people to have those results because, once again, we are playing this case out in the media. And whatever information we get, guess who else gets that information before discovery? All information in a case is turned over to defense after the arrest is made, after police have had an opportunity to try and question the subject, after police have done their investigation and it's in its completion and probable cause has now been determined to make an arrest. When you have a high-profile case, that whole process is turned upside down. where that case is now being adjudicated in the public. And every time there's breaking news on the internet, guess who gets that information? David's high-profile, high-powered, highly competent, highly experienced, creme de la creme attorneys. They get that information before the court gets that information. They get that information before the prosecutor gets that information. Because right now, the prosecutor doesn't have anything. They might be working in conjunction on the low with the police department. They may not. Some municipalities don't share information with the prosecutor till the case has been resulted in an arrest and the case folder is handed over to them. I don't know how they do business in LA. I know in my municipality, when we got a high-profile case, we bring the DA in early. If this was my case right now, I'd be working in conjunction with a DA. All subpoenas I sent out would not be a police department subpoena. It would be a district attorney subpoena because I'd have a district attorney assigned to me at this moment, and they'd be sending out my subpoenas and my search warrants for me. But I don't know how they do business in LA. So the LAPD actually went out and took a court order to remove her name and seal all results. So guess what? We're not getting ish on this case when it comes to the medical examiner. Let's keep going. November 24th, 2025. This is a statement from the medical examiner. November 24th, 2025 at 10:54 a.m. Friday. November 21st, the County of Los Angeles Department of Medical Examiner received a court order initiated by Los Angeles Police Department to place a security hold on medical examiner case number 2025-14252, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. No records or details associated with the case, including the cause and manner of death and medical examiner report, can be released or posted on the website until further notice. Done. Sealed. Done. Sealed. The rest of it is them saying admission and all that good stuff. The next paragraph that's of relevance is, the department previously received a request for security hold for LAPD on a case on September 15, 2025, which was denied due to insufficient justification to warrant the hold. So they immediately said, yo, we got to seal this up. The medical examiner, they need a new medical examiner because it seems like there's friction between these two departments. There's friction between these two departments. I think the medical examiner of LA County is too big for their britches. You play an important part in the criminal justice system, but you are not the prosecutor and you're not the detectives. You're not the police department. You are just the evidentiary science branch of that process. You should be taking lead or taking guidance from the police department. Because believe it or not, they know better. Because there's a part of the police department that has more experience than the nerds in the medical examiner's office, and that is people. They understand people. The LAPD knew from jump that this was going to be a high-profile case and that this was going to get out of control. They knew it. And they asked on September 15th, remove her name because this is about to get crazy. And what they said, no, you didn't give us sufficient cause to do that. And what ended up happening, ladies and gentlemen? Went out of control, didn't it? It went out of control, right? Look what we doing here. This is what we do. This is what I do in my free time. When I come here and I put my YouTube hat on, I'm a YouTuber. And if you give me fodder, I'm going to cover it. If you give me information, I'm going to cover it. If you give me evidence, I'm going to cover it. You give me a story, I'm going to cover it. You don't give me a story, there's other people that we need to cover right now who need a voice for the voiceless. If the medical examiner would have listened to LAPD, a lot of the hoopla and a lot of the misinformation and a lot of the drama and nonsense that's been happening in this case would not have happened. Would not have happened, but they didn't listen. And this statement to me reads like ego rather than logic. Ego rather than logic. Let's keep going. Let me read up this comment real quick. Not Sydney Shea says, whoops. I meant to ask, did this impact the case itself? If you're talking about this misinformation, no, it didn't. It's misinformation. It means nothing. It was something to us. It means nothing to the cops because the cops knew all along that it was bunk. Cops knew all along it was bullcrap. D4vd, aka David, knew it was bullcrap. If he had anything to do with the killing of Celeste, he knew it was bullcrap because he knew I ain't put her in a freezer. Whoever killed Celeste knew it was bullcrap because they knew they didn't put her in a freezer. The LAPD detectives knew she wasn't in a freezer. When we found her, she was decomposed and liquefied. I'm only saying that not because I have inside information. I just know the nature of bodies that have been in those type of spaces. I've seen it with my own eyes. Bodies that have been in that type of in those type of spaces for a long period of time. They liquefy. They do. So it didn't impact the case. All it did was probably hurt the family because the family had to hear that their daughter, they don't know. The family had to hear that their daughter was decapitated and dismembered and frozen. So really all this did was cause anguish and trauma to the family of Celeste. That's all it did. That's all it did. Let's keep going. Court blocks release of Celeste Rivas court records, plus forensic death investigator Josh Scott Morgan weighs in. This is ghastly business. Now, they said skip the first few paragraphs. Let me just make sure here. I want to make sure I got you guys. Skip like the first half of the article. Here we go. Here we go. The medical examiner has not released any official determination regarding how or when she died, though TMZ, so here comes, was this the LA Times? The LA Times about to throw them under the business. They about to throw them under the M16 bus in Harlem and run right over them. That's what they're about to do. Who from New York? Who know about that M15? That M16? Who know about that BX15? The M101. They about to throw them under that A train. That A train. They about to throw them under that D train. Come on, here we go. All right. Though TMZ has reported multiple leaks from the office stating that they believe her body was frozen at one point and was thawed while in the Tesla, the TMZ leak on November 27th came one day after the ME's office was notified of the court order blocking the release of information. Amid the report suggesting the teen's remains may have been frozen before discovery, renowned forensic death investigator, host of Body Bags podcast, and associate professor of applied forensics of Jacksonville State University, Joseph Scott Morgan, told Los Angeles that such findings require scientific confirmation, should not be assumed without laboratory analysis. Morgan noted that freezing and thawing can create distinct cellular patterns. I said that without even having this guy's expertise. When you freeze something, you get crystalline structures inside of that biological matter that's frozen. Whether it's meat, whether it's beef, chicken, turkey, a human body, the liquid inside of those cells crystallizes and it causes certain damage to the cell walls and structures that you could tell are due because of being frozen. And so it's like, how can you say it's frozen without testing it and finding that out? But let's keep going. Let's keep going. Morgan noted that freezing and thawing can create distinct cellular patterns that would only be detectable under a microscope. You have to take tissue samples to look at it. The cells begin to contract and you lose the space as a result of freezing. There is microscopic evidence of freezing that goes on, he said. Essentially, someone at the ME's office would not have released information about the body being frozen unless testing had been done. Keep going. There has also been confusion and speculation that the possible dismemberment of Rivas Hernandez. The LAPD initially announced that the body was dismembered, but sparked confusion when their September 29th announcement claimed they may not have a crime outside of concealment of a body. A dismemberment would indicate an abuse of a corpse charge. Morgan explained how investigators would evaluate the claims of dismemberment, claiming that different cutting tools leave highly specific markings on bone. Anytime you put a metal device that is a power saw, you are making a very specific tool mark on the surface of the bone, he said, adding that bone ends can indicate whether a chainsaw, radial saw, or hand tool was used. They are all very distinctive, and you take this and you compare it in the crime lab. He said dismemberment typically involves removing extremities rather than cutting into the torso, describing that as the exception as opposed to the norm. According to Morgan, the goal in such cases is often to reduce the size of remains. You will have the legs, the arms, and the head. It just makes the body more manageable at that point in time. That being said, the ME's office will eventually be able to reveal whether it was severe decomposition that occurred or dismemberment. All right, this is good stuff. If dismemberment occurred, Morgan said the location would likely show extensive physical evidence and could not fully be cleaned. There's no way in holy hell that anybody can go back and clean this area and get everything up, he said. Noting investigators would search drains, tubs, plumbing, traps for tissue in here. This is ghastly business. You're going to have a tremendous amount of tissue and blood. What is going on with me today? I cannot read. Well, I could read, but I'm getting stumbled on my words for some reason. Anyway, blood deposits all over the place. Morgan also confirmed that freezing the body would, of course, slow down the decomposition process. Sometimes you will have people that killed, then they'll freeze the body, and then they will dismember. That slows the decomposition process because once we die, decomposition immediately starts. If that happens, the body's going to look completely different once it's found. It will absolutely stop for a moment, and then once the body begins to thaw, it starts all over again. You're going to see the cellular responses. The medical examiner's office previously released initial information about the body, claiming it was found in a yellow tube top, black pants, and had wavy black hair. The LAPD has not released the reports and has not announced any arrests. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. That body was not frozen. The captain of the robbery homicide squad says it wasn't frozen. I'm going to take his word for it. Captain says it's not frozen. It's not frozen. The science does not seem as though that body would have been frozen and thawing out in the medical examiner's office. That's what we was told by TMZ. They didn't say there was evidence that it was frozen in the past. They said the body was thawing out inside the medical examiner's office. It's bonk. It's not true. Big shout out to Care Bears with $5 super that says, sorry, already read that. My apologies. Dawn Graf celebrating 4 months as a patrol member. Sister, love being here. Appreciate you. We love you being here as well. Let's keep going. All right, let's shift gears, man. Let's shift gears. One of the big things that really troubled me in this case is the discrepancy between what the mother told TMZ and what we know. Listen to this. The mother of Celeste, by the way. Listen to this.
March of 2024. Speak Spanish, and you talked to her.
Yeah.
What we reported was the last time the family saw her was March of 2024.
So I never got a specific month from her. All I know is that she said that she hadn't seen her for a couple of years until news of her death.
Now listen, they said this guy speaks Spanish. This guy looks like a Caucasian guy to me. Doesn't mean, first of all, Caucasian people speak Spanish. They were the progenitors of Spanish. Spaniards are European people. People from Spain are European people. I don't know if this guy's a Spaniard. I don't know if he took Spanish in high school. I don't know if he has proficiency in Spanish and he is certified. I'm only saying that because I want to give grace, since we've been having all this drama with TMZ, to say, could it be possible that this man misunderstood what the mother of Celeste was saying? But clearly, he just said, the mother said she had not seen her daughter in years. Let's listen to that one more time.
Well, it certainly wasn't a couple of years, because she was there in April.
If she was
early
the mother had
to her house.
If it was September, it was less than a year.
Well, certainly at that point, it's less than a
Well,
year.
about a year. Yeah.
What's really striking about this incident, though, is it is exactly 1 year before the body was discovered in
Spanish. Anakin speaks Spanish, and you.
1 year before the body was discovered, the mother said that she has not seen her daughter allegedly in years. In years. Yet we have evidence that Celeste went back home multiple times in 2024. Multiple times. All the way, I think the latest that we've heard was in September of 2024. Yet the mother said she had not seen her daughter in years. My question is, why, if this is true, this reporting from TMZ, and Lord knows we got to question these folks, why did she say that? And if she says that, does that harken back to my point that there's a possibility that they weren't looking for Celeste, because at least by that time, the last time that Celeste went back home, at least by that time, they knew where she was at. They knew where she was at, and maybe there was an arrangement between David and the parents. And maybe that's why she said it was for years, because she did not want them to know that she actually knew where her daughter was, which would then make her a bad parent and quite possibly also make her negligent in some way, criminally negligent as a parent, if she knew that her underage daughter was with an adult male, unsupervised. Very interesting stuff here. You got a highlighted message. Flo Joe says, which mom did they talk to? I don't know what you mean. But there are rumors that we discussed before that Celeste may have had a different biological mother than the mother that we believe is actually her mother, but those rumors have not been substantiated, if you mean that. But yeah. Let's keep going. Wow. This is FS Investigates. This is him responding back to TMZ. He says, I'm not going to use anyone's name, but it'll probably be obvious what I'm referring to. If that violates anybody and everyone feels I need to be arrested and honestly being locked up. All right, let's skip through all of that. Freezing a body completely halts the decomposition process. This is true. It freezes the liquids inside the tissue and prevents bacteria from spreading, which is required for decomposition. This is also true. There are people on Mount Everest who have been above ground for decades and they're still preserved. Morgues use refrigeration to slow decomposition for this exact reason. This is everything he said so far is true. Saying a pathologist cannot make a determination because the body was frozen is completely out of touch with basic science. I agree with that. A medical examiner would prefer for a body to be immediately frozen because it becomes a time capsule. He's 100% correct. Medical students train for surgery on cadavers. Bodies are routinely. So he's 100% correct. So let's see if we get to the meat of this. If you want to change the timeline now, fine. Let us say a body was placed there on the day the parking enforcement officer first ticketed the vehicle. We know from tire chalking that the car never moved. That is 13 to 14 days before the body was found in the Tesla frunk. And people actually believe TMZ when they say the body was still partially frozen when it arrived at a medical examiner's office. What the actual? We're not going to say the rest of that word. Right now, the choice is between science and TMZ, and it is shocking how many people are choosing TMZ. This is the same outlet that published breaking news today saying that house on, I don't know the rest of that. Oh, the house in Dehaney. That's actually very probative. The house in Dehaney had a refrigerator and a freezer in the kitchen, an appliance every house has. And we actually showed that video, and we said take it with a grain of salt. We showed that video where they was playing a video about the freezer, which is like, okay, every house has a freezer. When I looked at it, I was like, it's kind of small too. It's a small freezer. It's kind of little chest freezer from Home Depot, the one they be having on sale every now and then for like $90. Like the actual price is like $150. And if you just wait, that freezer, that chest freezer is going to go on sale at Home Depot for $90. How do I know? I got one in my garage. I waited, and it was $90. I was like, it's kind of small. I don't know, man. So I'm agreeing FS Investigates right now, to be honest with you. I'm agreeing. So now let's listen to some Matt Thibodeau and see what he has to say about this.
Talking about the freezer that is in the background of one of David's YT shorts from September of 2024. We were able to find out where this studio/residence is located and people who are associated and who have been in this residence/studio along with David, one of which is a producer that David has worked with in the past, Andrew Luce. This morning, Andrew sent me a message and he thankfully has provided clarity pertaining to the specific freezer in the background of one of David's videos. He says, the latest video you posted of the freezer is from the entryway of my studio. My girlfriend had an obsession with Dippin' Dots, which need a very cold freezer to keep their shape, and I thought it would be a sweet and funny gift to get her a sub-zero fridge so that she could enjoy more Dippin' Dots. He says that there's no connection here. He said that prior to David filming this video with the freezer in the background, that freezer had been sitting there for about 6 months because that was a gift that he had given his girlfriend for Valentine's Day in 2024. He said that the freezer was purchased well before he and Brian Barnes ever even met David. He even said that the freezer is still sitting in the same exact spot as it was in this video in September of 2024 because it's super heavy and he and his girlfriend have not figured out a place to put it. So this specific freezer right here, unrelated, still unopened, still sitting in the same spot. So hopefully that provides some clarity for you all. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys as soon as anything else comes out.
All right, so Matt actually spoke to the guy who owns the house that they were in, and he gave his explanation. The freezer was basically an appliance that was bought, and that is it. Let's go to another Matt Thibodeau and see what's going on. But he's going to give his commentary about TMZ. Oh.
Actual credible source close to LAPD when it comes to what they shared yesterday about Celeste's body being partially frozen and dismembered when found in David's frunk. So someone who claims that they worked at the facility where Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body was sent to be processed after she was found has spoken out. And while what they're saying is somewhat similar to what TMZ was sharing yesterday, it's not exactly the same. This person said that when Celeste was brought to this specific facility, she weighed approximately 90 pounds according to paperwork, and she was in a severely decomposed, mummified state. They said that she was brought to this facility in one piece and that she had a full body bag. This person also said that she had a viscera bag. If you don't know what that is, I'll put a screenshot on the screen right here. I'm not going to go into that. And it says that based on the evidence that the autopsy showed, it does indicate that she was kept in a cool place at one point, but not necessarily frozen. After Celeste's autopsy was performed, this person said that she was transported to the Cavalry mortuary where her body was worked on and prepared for her services. She was then transported to Queen of Heaven for burial, where her family had a closed casket for services. This person also says that the reason Celeste's information was removed from the medical examiner's website was due to the amount of calls that they were receiving about Celeste. People were posing as family members, people were posing as lawyers, trying to get inside information out of them, and it was just becoming too much. So did TMZ misinterpret something? Did they jump to conclusions with limited information that they were given and in return share things that were not entirely accurate to this case? Or is it possible that this person who's claiming to have worked at the facility where Celeste's body was processed may just not know everything? I don't know. You guys take that how you will. This is obviously becoming increasingly frustrating. What are you guys thinking? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys. So
all right, cool. So, listen, it is what it is. all I got to say is this. Listen, let's not forget why we're all here. We're all here for justice for Celeste, all right? We're not here for our egos. We shouldn't just be here for money, all right? We should be here first and foremost to give a voice to the voiceless, and everything else is secondary. And I just got to say that you don't have to be first in this business. You got to be ethical. And to me, at least here on True Crime Strategic, we're about being ethical. Yeah, I goof off. I have my tinfoil hat on and I have a good time. You know, I'm what we're trying to do is something different here, right? I know a lot of true crime is really serious. I don't feel like I need to be serious. I could just be me because all I do is true. My whole life is true crime. When I get off of this live stream, I go to work and I deal with true crime every day as an active duty detective. I want to try and convey these horrible, heavy stories to you guys in a way that's not going to let you walk away with nightmares. There's sometimes I watch true crime stories, some of my favorite channels, and I walk away feeling some type of way because it's so heavy and so raw. And it's like, oh gosh, you know? So my goal is to try and communicate these things to you in a raw, but yet a fun way where we could get to the bottom of these cases, but at the same time, have a decent time doing it as a family. And one thing we don't care about on this channel is breaking news. Yeah, it might mean that we don't get 2,000 subscribers, 2,000 people in our live stream because we're not the first one talking about it. But I'd rather have 500 people like I have right now watching this show and tell you the facts to the best of my abilities than come out here and say that I got exclusive information that something happened that didn't happen and have egg on my face and have the whole world talking about how I'm not accurate and I can't be trusted. Integrity is everything. And I just want to just throw that out there into the universe. It's okay not to be first. Because at the end of the day, we've got a young woman who's murdered and we're no closer to finding out how she was murdered. We're here. We're here for truth. We're here for justice. We're here to give a voice to the voiceless. Celeste can't speak for herself. She can't speak for herself. We got to speak for her. When we put out information that's not true, all we're doing is putting noise out there, muddying the water, and that only helps one person. It literally only helps one person. That's a killer. Whoever killed Celeste, whoever that may be, all this noise does nothing but help her killer. Now, the research crew just posted something. I don't have the article, but they copy and pasted the article in our group chat, and I want to read that article for you guys. And I think this last exhibit, we're not going to talk about it because it's law and crime, but this is with the misinformation that was reported. And law and crime is basically doing what we did, was just report the news, right? So let me read that for you guys. I got a stuffy nose because I got a fan blowing on me because it gets hot down here. And of course, I'm live streaming with like a jeans jacket on and a hoodie, what I was wearing. I went straight from the car here. I apologize. My nose is a little stuffy. My voice might sound a little distorted because my nose is so stuffy. So, research crew says, last week, LAPD Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, who oversees the department's detective operations, addressed the investigation, saying, accountability is coming. Our RHD, that's Robbery and Homicide Detective Squad, have been working and not waiting for that decision by the medical examiner. They are going to get justice for Celeste Rivas Hernandez. No one is off the table, including David. Hamilton said the probe has stepped up in recent days, but no official suspect has been named. No suspect named. These officers are doing their job. How do I know that they're doing their job? Because I do that job, and I know that the people who get into those positions, you just can't get there. You have to have a passion for investigation. You have to have a passion for truth. The LAPD has a lot of experience investigating high-profile cases. They have a lot of experience working with celebrities. They have a lot of experience investigating people who have a high net worth. They're working this case. They're doing their job. We're going to get justice, but we've got to get patient about it. And like I told you guys a million times, I am not looking for justice right now, because sometimes justice right now is fleeting. It's fleeting. It's like crack. Smoke it, get you high for 5 seconds, and then you're left wanting for the rest of your life. That's how you become an addict. You're chasing that high you got the first time you did the drug. That's justice right now. I want justice forever. And that takes time. It takes hard work, and it takes meticulous attention to the details. And that takes time, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, cut the LAPD some slack. And we're going to be reporting this with a lot more discernment, because it looks like we can't trust some of these agencies that are coming out here swearing that they got the truth, swearing I'm 100% sure. Not what he said. So I'm 100% sure, 100% positive. That's what he said.
So here's what we know. When the body was found, it was in terrible condition.
Here's what we know.
It had been decapitated, the torso was intact, the limbs had been removed, and they were cut up severely.
Bro, somebody was just singing you some tales, man. They were lying to you, bro.
The body was partially frozen in the trunk, and this is really important because remember, the body had been sitting there for days before it was finally impounded in the—
It was sitting there for weeks, my brother. For weeks. Where'd you get days from? For weeks.
And the body discovered. And it was still, the body parts were still partially frozen. So
listen, you guys made hundreds of millions of dollars following celebrities from airports saying, hey, how you doing today, Mike Tyson? Everything good? Huh? How do you feel about this? And how you feel about that? Oh, you looking real nice today. What's a female star? You looking real nice today, Beyonce. Love to hear. Love the outfit. How you feeling today? What do you think about this? You can't approach true crime the same way you approach celebrities in the damn airport. This is people's lives here. Families, while you're on your beach villa with the ocean in the background, somebody's family is watching this. Somebody's mother is crying, hearing that her daughter's head was chopped off and her hands were chopped off and she was frozen and thawing on a slab of metal in the medical examiner's office. I'm about to put this on mute and blow my nose because I can't speak. My nose is so stuffy. You can't approach this the same way you approach celebrities in the airport, Harvey.
we are told that when the body first went to the medical examiner's office in early September, it was listed as an apparent homicide, but that was just from what seemed obvious, that the body was cut up into pieces. The medical examiner is having a really tough time right now trying to figure out what the cause of death was.
He's talking like he literally, his inside information. Like, let me tell you how this works, man, how these medical examiners works. They have multiple scientists, multiple doctors, pathologists, whatever, and each one is assigned a case. And only that pathologist is working on a case and whatever expert that they need. So they might be the general pathologist, like the general ME guy, but then if they need somebody who has like a specific expertise, that person might be brought in on a case. But it's very insulated. It's very insulated. It's very insulated. And one of the reasons why it's insulated is because a lot of times they have to peer review each other's results. Like when I put it, like whenever I get a SOC kit, a sexual assault evidence collection kit, that's what we call it in New York State. Whenever I submit a SOC kit, one scientist is assigned to that. And that scientist will do their test, their DNA, forensic analysis, and all that stuff of that kit. And then when they're done, it is submitted for peer review, meaning another scientist has to be able to get the same results. And then after that, it goes through supervisory review, where a supervisor now has to make sure that all the proper steps were taken and that those findings are based on sound scientific work. You can't get that type of review when everybody and their mother is a part of that case. So the way he talking is like his source is the actual ME assigned to Celeste's body. I don't know, bro. But we all know that it's not. So where are you getting your information from? Who told you this? Who fed you this information, Harvey?
They're told it
or rather, who fed your producer this information? A producer that you need to consider. I don't know. I don't like, I was going to say the F word, but we don't want to do that because we don't want to take food off of anybody's table. I'm not about that. Some people are quick to say, terminate people. I'm not about that life. You need to have a conversation with that producer because they fed you some really bad information. Let's keep going.
is likely the cause of death will go undetermined because of the condition of the body and the fact that it was frozen and the fact that it was cut up the way it was. So we have told you that we know David is a suspect, and even if it is undetermined, the LAPD can still move forward, as could the LA County District Attorney. The LAPD.
You said that he's a suspect. LAPD? I don't know if anything they say is true because LAPD, last week they said that he's not a suspect yet. Maybe they changed their mind, but I don't know. I'm so confused. I feel like I got cheated on or something. Like, I can't trust you. You said you're going to the corner store, but I don't know. Maybe you're going to see Homeboy again. Maybe you're going to see Tyrone. Whoever's a part of the membership, you know what I'm talking about when I say Tyrone, the Patreon. You said you're going to the store, baby, but you already betrayed me. Maybe you're going to see Tyrone again. Oh, my God. That's how I'm feeling right now with TMZ. Like, I don't know. I'm hurt. I'm coming with you, baby. I don't trust you. We both go to the store together.
D is viewing this as a homicide. David is a suspect. We know this. And one of the keys to the case is a trip that authorities say David made in the middle of the night back in this spring to a remote area of...
This is what hurts me the most. This is what hurts me the most. I'm going to tell you why it hurts me. All this frozen stuff, that's erroneous stuff. That's like, you know, was she frozen? Was she not? She's dead. We know that, right? We know that for a fact. We saw the funeral. They put Celeste in the ground. She's dead. She's not supposed to be dead. For our understanding, she didn't have no heart problems. She didn't have cancer. She didn't have no congenital diseases or anything like that that would have resulted in her waking up one day and passing away. She's gone. We know that. We also know she was put in the trunk, so somebody put her there. Somebody knew she was dead, and instead of calling 911, they put her in there. So it's either A, they're incredibly dumb, or B, they had a hand in her unaliving. The most damning thing is that trip was very damning to me. Because that trip into the middle of nowhere was out of the ordinary for David, allegedly. That trip it opened up so many doors, so many questions, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm calling the trip into question. I don't know if that trip really happened, ladies and gentlemen, and it's breaking my heart. I feel like they just Tyrone me. You better call Tyrone. Call him. I feel like they calling Tyrone right now, man. I feel like
Santa Barbara County. We are now also told that there is a second suspect, and our information is that the second suspect has something to do with the cutting up of the body. Now, Mark Garagos, who is my co-host on the Two Angry Men podcast, told us in the most recent podcast that his information is that this second suspect is being looked at not just for dismembering the body, but also for what happened before, during, and after Celeste's death. So there is a second suspect that the LAPD has its sights on. They have identified the person. Garriga says he knows who it is, not saying, but it is a second suspect implicated here. So obviously the question, how on earth did this body go?
All right, hold on here. All right, man, this is crazy. All right, big shout out to, I got to show love to my people. because this show is nothing without you guys. First of all, we got a lot of people watching the stream right now. We appreciate you guys joining us today. We are nothing without you. We love our audience probably more than any other YouTuber on the planet, because we stop shows to let you know how much we love you. Please do hit that like button, support the channel. We have almost 600 people watching us. Hit that like button, support the channel. All right, now, Tawny Champ with a $5 super chat says, do you think they meant frozen when dismembered, then in the car long enough to decompose? I don't know how we can construe frozen with dismembered. It's either you frozen or you not. So I don't think so. I think they meant frozen. Frozen means frozen. Dismembered means dismembered. Period. It's not like a movie where you freeze somebody. You know, in a movie, they freeze a person and they hit them with a hammer, or they freeze the monster and they hit the monster with a hammer and the monster breaks apart into little squares. Doesn't happen that way. Doesn't happen that way. She didn't get dismembered because she got frozen and somebody hit her with a hammer and her whole body cracked up. Didn't work that way. It's either she frozen or she not, and the police said she was not frozen. Big shout out to you, Tawny. I appreciate you. Thanks for supporting the channel. Sydney gave us a 99-cent super sticker. We appreciate you. Rudy and Son gave us a $2 super sticker. Says TMZ got punked. I'm not trying to demonize TMZ. I actually have empathy for Harvey. If Harvey, you're watching this, I don't have no qualms with you, because I'm a big picture guy. And a lot of you guys don't like these folks because you guys are internet denizens and you've formed these relationships with certain channels and you hate this person, you like that person. I don't live in that space. I don't care about none of these people. All I care about is the truth. I don't care about anybody. I just care about the truth. I don't have a problem with Harvey. When I look at Harvey, I see a successful businessman. I got nothing but respect for him. My issue is his team did him wrong, because I come from a paramilitary organization and they tell me, don't make your boss look bad. Don't make your boss look bad. So I'm not going to do them dirty, say they got punked and all that. That's too personal for me, because there's nothing personal here. They made their boss look bad. TMZ, Harvey is the boss, and he's also talent. That's the word I was looking for earlier, and I couldn't get it off my tongue, and I used a different word. He's boss, but he's also the talent. He's the host. I used the word host before, but I wanted to use talent. He's the boss, but he's also the talent. They did the talent dirty. The producers did the talent dirty. You're not talking to Harvey when you call up TMZ's hotline. You never talk to Harvey. Harvey didn't get on the phone and get this information from that source. The producer talked to the source. The producer did Harvey dirty. And Harvey, you need to go clean up your shop, because it's the second time they did you dirty. And I'm not trying to go into politics, but I deal with facts. When Charlie Kirk died, they laughed at Charlie Kirk. Now, some people watching the stream may not like Charlie Kirk. I'm not talking politics here. However you feel about that is your business. I'm not saying I like them or dislike them. I just deal with facts. When Charlie Kirk died, TMZ staff clearly laughed at Charlie Kirk, and TMZ came online and said, no, they didn't. They was laughing about a car chase. Then we saw the car chase. There was nothing to laugh about. The car drove. The car stopped. While the car stopped, you clearly saw in the news that it said, breaking news, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and then they started laughing. So there's a lot of issues with the credibility of TMZ. Now, did Harvey laugh? No, he did not. He was sad. Did the African-American guy who's his co-host laugh? No, he did not. He was shocked and he was disgusted. But the two bosses of TMZ had to check and cover for their staff. Something's wrong with your staff, bro. So your staff did you dirty with Charlie Kirk, and now they're doing you dirty with this Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. You need to clean up shop. You need to clean up shop. Anyway, back to my super chats. 1-9 super chat says she met him online, then disappeared from online. It's true. Rach, not that rack. I don't know how to say that. That's probably not an English name. Says $2 super chat says, yo, they give me a franc. So they're either from Canada or they from Europe. or pound. They're from I think they're from England. Here we go. No wonder. Says worth staying up till 2 a.m. again. See that hat. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for supporting the channel. I want to know how to pronounce your name, so write it phonetically in the chat so we can know how to pronounce your name. Dawn Graff is celebrating 4 months of patrol member. Says I love being here. Care Bears with a 199 super chat says police can lie. Reasonable deception. And Leela Remy with a 199 super chat showing love to the channel. We appreciate you guys immensely. Get back into this.
So from Santa Barbara, if that's indeed where it was taken, and that seems to be the operating theory of the LAPD, that if it was taken to Santa Barbara, how did it end up back in Los Angeles in the trunk of David's car in a residential neighborhood? The only thing that makes sense, and that's months and months later, the only thing that makes sense is that based on connecting the dots, it would seem that this body was put in a freezer for an extended period of time, and it was so frozen that by the time it got in the car, it took a long time for it to unfreeze, and it had not fully unfrozen at the time the body was discovered at the impound lot. So again, it looks like there may never be a cause of death determined by the medical examiner. The body was frozen. Just keep looking at TMZ. We will have more updates as the days pass.
All right. So Rach said her name is Rachel for short. Rake for Rachel. I don't see how you got Rake for Rachel. Rachel, we just gonna call you Rachel from now on, Rachel. In fact, change your name to Rachel. Strategic has given you a name. Your name is gonna be Rachel 2025. Go change it before somebody else steal that. Rachel 2025. That's your new name. Go change that name, okay? Rachel 2025. All right, man. Listen, like I said, you got to clean house, Harvey. You got to clean house, man. Those hipsters that work for you, that they all tell like, yeah, you know, she went to the star. Yeah, definitely. Did you see Beyonce yesterday? Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, Beyonce was, clean house, bro. Clean house. Clean house. Get them out of there, man, because they doing you dirty, brother. Obsidian says, the oh my God is too loud compared to your voice volume. Yeah, we're going to have to fix that. We got, actually, when I actually talk over the audio, whatever, we'll talk about that behind scene. We'll talk about that behind scene. But yeah, we definitely got to fix the audio. Anyway, I love you guys immensely, man. Well, how long we been doing this? I thought we've been here for like 2 hours. We've only been here for an hour and 17 minutes. Appreciate you guys immensely for joining me today. Please hit that like button, support the channel. Appreciate everybody who showed us love with super chats today. You guys are awesome. Really nice crowd here. Very, very mature. All respect and all love goes to the moderators. We got the best moderators in the business who support the channel and keep this chat clean, keep this chat mature, keep this chat safe. At the end of the day, we give a voice to the voiceless and we do a show for victims. And, you know, this has to be a safe space for victims to come and watch this show and talk and commune as a family. So we really appreciate the mods for all the hard work that they do. Let's give a big yay for the mods. Let's give a big yay for everybody who supported us with a super chat. And lastly, let's give a big yay for truth and justice. Because that's what we need. That's what we need. Not all this noise and nonsense. Guys, we have a membership. Consider becoming a member of True Crime Strategic for exclusive content that you can't get on the main show. And lastly, consider becoming a member of our Patreon, where you can get exclusive content that can't be put on YouTube because it's too raw, too real for YouTube. I love you guys immensely. We'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.